We are mildly interesting guys, and we talk about some stuff. So welcome to the podcast, we call it Joel the Podcast. It's Alex and it's Alex, here for Joel the Podcast. Hello everybody, I'm Alex.
And I'm Alex.
And this is our podcast,
Joel.
Wow. I actually have no idea what episode number this is.
This is 37.
37,
and I know that because I have been uploading them regularly. Every Wednesday, a podcast will come out from now until the end of time.
Well, we'll die at some point, so that's definitely not true.
Hopefully by then we'll have found 2 new people named Alex to carry on the tradition.
Hopefully by then time will end, so we're off the hook.
I don't know about you, but I don't plan on dying until time ends.
Alright, so welcome to episode 37. Hopefully this came out regularly with all the other episodes, and you can send us an email congratulating us for putting in a bare minimum amount of effort.
Big words for somebody who puts in literally no effort.
True. You know what? That's fair enough. I think if I don't talk like that though, it removes from my persona of that I have on this podcast. So
fair enough.
All right. So welcome to episode 37. I wanted to start off by alerting everyone to the fact that neither of us owe the other $1, although that will soon change likely. So sports, the Sixers have 3 starters injured now, and they've continued to be not good on the road and good at home, so who even knows?
As is tradition at this point, right?
Yes. Yep. The Purdue, I think probably in the last podcast I said that Purdue needed to win their last 3 games in order to have a chance of making it to the tournament. And unfortunately they lost on Saturday to Rutgers in overtime. So unless they do extremely well during the Big Ten tournament, they're unlikely to make the NCAA tournament. So
right. But on the bright side, they did beat Indiana and then beat Iowa.
Yeah, really the Indiana part is the bright side.
Right. So yet again, Purdue sweeps Indiana. Purdue hasn't lost to Indiana since I think 2016. And even then, it was only one of the 2 games. And then before that, I don't know the last time they lost to Indiana before that. That one game was the only time they lost to Indiana while we were in college. And now, of course, Tommy Luce has won every game against Indiana during his college career, his 4-year period.
As he should.
Yes.
I'm just disappointed he didn't get to play in his final game at Mackey on Saturday.
Right, that's a real shame.
It really was never. It was such a close game till the end, and they really needed to win so they could never put him in.
It'll make me wonder forever. What if he was the secret sauce that could have done it for him?
Seems unlikely. Anyway, moving to more positive news, the Flyers have won probably 9 in a row now, 8 in a row, 9 in a row.
That's quite a few in a row.
Yeah, and they are in first place in their division, or at least tied for first place. And they are looking like a very formidable team heading as we approach the playoffs. So,
you think they're contenders for the Stanley Cup?
I honestly don't follow hockey enough to know, but
so definitely yes.
So yeah, I'm just gonna blindly say that they are by far the best team in the league, and they should have no competition whatsoever.
This will be a truly monumental run
Monumental.
through the playoffs.
Yes. So yeah. Future listeners, feel free to send us an email laughing at the Flyers losing in the second round. All right.
I've got some.
Cool.
I've got some great news.
Okay, let's hear it.
Which is that we received an email from Cephalopod Master answering
Excellent.
all of our questions, and also providing some more feedback, which is pretty cool. So this will be something to think about moving forward. So let's begin. First off, he thanks us for doing the audio thing again. Once again, you're welcome. Thanks to you, we will never not do the nice audio, because I would feel like I am obligated to use this new microphone now to make it always good.
So let me interrupt here for a second. What was the subject line of the email?
Oh, the subject line was "I am a dumbass."
All right, excellent. Continue.
Yep. Sorry, I just left that part out because that's pretty much assumed at this point that every email we receive is that's going to be the subject.
Right.
If only because he's the only one that emails us and he plays along with our joke. So.
Right. Thank you, Cephalopod.
Yes,
we appreciate it.
We do appreciate it. Number 2 was some clarifications. We had some questions for Cephalopod Master about his previous emails. Number 1, for our episode on aliens, he says, I think an episode where you guys search and discuss which alien conspiracy theory is the best one would be funny. I think that's a pretty good idea. I think we're going to try that.
Yeah, we're also gonna one up you. I can tell you right now, and we're gonna be trying to come up with some of the most absurd conspiracy theories as well, because I think that can be funny too.
Right.
But good idea. So we'll definitely be doing that coming up.
So just to show you our
episodes.
dedication, I have already started researching. In fact, I started watching alien conspiracy theory videos on YouTube the second I received this email. That's totally true. That's not what I intended to say, but it's totally true, and I don't regret saying it.
All right.
Yep. So for the record, at this point, I have watched 36 videos about aliens on YouTube. None of them, well, maybe one of them. No, not really. None of them have been like serious conspiracy theorists, though, which I'm pretty bummed about. I really want to find some alien videos that are on the level of those like Netflix flat Earth documentaries. And if you haven't seen flat Earth documentaries on Netflix, drop whatever you're doing right now and go watch.
See ya.
Go watch. I think it's called Behind the Curve. It's an excellent documentary. Yeah, do that. Secondly, if you know of any like absolutely insane conspiracy theory videos, please email them to us by visiting our website at alexandalex@joelthepodcast.github.io/alexandalex@joelthepodcast.website. From there, you can click a link which will automatically populate an email with our incredibly long email address, so you don't have to type it. You're welcome.
I'm glad you said it this time, because I feel like I've been, kind of hogging that honor.
Yeah, you took it the last couple of videos, so I felt I should just do it.
For those of you who can't see, he made the motion of the Shia LaBeouf, just do it.
Maybe we should. No, I don't want to. Yeah, so send us your insane alien videos. I would love to watch them. But moving on, another clarification is what he meant by Joel Bop. So you asked whether this was the extra clean or extra dirty version of a song, and I said no. I think it's just the overall concept of the game show. Well, it turns out it's just the really offensive version of a song. He wants us to just absolutely ruin some already questionable song. I don't know how capable we really are of doing that, but
I think I would feel bad doing that.
yeah. So we'll see.
I have an idea on that we can discuss afterwards.
All right. Yeah, I don't want to commit to anything live on the broadcast, but
Right. So we'll do our best, Cephalopod.
yep. All right, but moving on. Number 3. I am super excited about this. I was so happy to read this.
Okay.
He says, I am blown away that you were actually able to help me figure it out. This is in response to the note.
Oh, yes!
With all the numbers and things.
Yes!
And he says, as I correctly pointed out, the numbers refer to room numbers in Hawkins, and the items listed are the stuff he found turned into the lost and found. You said that was nonsense. I called it. I'm so excited that I got that right. He says, thank you for your wisdom. I can finally delete this note in peace, and you are welcome. I am glad that this podcast was able to affect change in the world.
That's honestly incredible. And let me say this. I actually thought by us speculating that we might spark his memory.
Yeah.
And let me say in my defense to saying whatever you said was nonsense, that this clearly reveals that he worked at Hawkins, like at the front desk or whatever.
Yeah.
Which I did not know. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. All I knew was that he lived there. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, I might have pointed that out, but whatever.
So, good job to you. I applaud you.
Yes, I applaud me too. This is me applauding me. This is both of us applauding me. And hopefully you at home are also applauding me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, if you're listening to this podcast at work, just start clapping, If people ask why, it's a good way to spread our podcast.
At some point, I'm probably going to listen to this podcast at work.
And just
and I'm going to start, I guarantee that I'm going to start clapping at this point. It might be weird, whatever. Number 4, moving on in this email. This is a very content-heavy email, which I really appreciate. It gives us a lot to talk about here in the opening, and we won't have to talk about other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. We put in less effort.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So this might take us a couple seconds to answer here. Number 4 is, are sandwiches also hot dogs, or are hot dogs sandwiches only?
Obviously, hot dogs are a subset of sandwiches.
And that means that not all sandwiches are hot dogs.
Right. Like, a hot dog is a specific kind of meat, right?
Right. Well, a specific, shape of mystery meats, I think, is maybe a better way to describe a hot dog. But I think if you're looking at a thing, it's pretty easy to tell whether or not that thing is a hot dog. Like, is this a hot dog?
No. He's holding his water bottle for those listeners.
All right, that's not a hot dog.
Right, okay, but it's not as easy as you're implying. For example, is a sausage a hot dog?
No, it's a sausage.
What's the difference?
Well, if it was a sausage that's like the size of a hot dog and has similar composition to a hot dog, then maybe it's a hot dog. But so there you go. There's my definition, I guess. Size and composition.
Now I gotta look up
determine whether or not something is a hot dog.
I gotta look up the difference between a hot dog and a sausage.
Not a hot dog.
Now, because I actually can't really think of what the distinction is.
All right. While you search, I also just want to point out real quick that if sandwiches were hot dogs, that means everything on our list last week was a hot dog. Not last week, 2 weeks ago.
Right. Like a Pop-Tart's definitely not a hot dog.
Pop-Tarts aren't a hot dog. Ravioli, definitely not a hot dog. Oreos, I can see where you might make the comparison, but it's definitely not a hot dog if you really think about it. Grilled cheese with fancy cheese. I mean, hot dogs don't even have cheese. So there you go. I think conclusively disproven sandwiches are not always hot dogs.
Yeah. So
Hot dogs are always sandwiches.
So here, this is an answer. What's the difference between a sausage and a hot dog? This is an answer from Joshua Engel, enthusiastic eater and adventurous cook.
Okay, sounds like someone very qualified.
Yes. So here we go. As others have said, a hot dog is one kind of sausage. In particular, it's an emulsified sausage, that the meat and fat are ground together very finely into a paste. Bologna and some other thing that I've never heard of are also commonly known emulsified sausages. What makes the hot dog distinctive is its shape, long and thin, its spice mixture, practically always containing garlic and paprika, and its preservation, cured and smoked. There are all sorts of variants. The Frankfurter of Frankfurt isn't quite identical to the Wiener of Wien. Yeah, I'm sure that's pronounced differently. Both are rationed different from the vast array of hot dogs Both are rather different from the vast array of hot dogs in the U.S., but they all share the traits that I mentioned.
It never really occurred to me that a hot dog was spiced with garlic and paprika.
Yeah, me neither.
But I mean, like, meat doesn't just taste like that, so...
Indeed it doesn't.
There we go. We all learned something today.
Yes. So, there you go. That's... Alright, so that answers that question of his emails. Is there anything else?
Oh, yes, there is. Number
good.
5. There's 7, by the way. Number 5.
Okay, thanks.
Oreos are sandwich cookies by manufacturer's own classification, so it's not controversial at all. Yeah, there you go. Sandwich cookies.
I think it is controversial, though. I think if you asked 100 people, is an Oreo a sandwich?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that most or all of them would say yes. But actually, maybe more people than I think would. Maybe it's like they're.
I think this is a good opportunity to gather some real world data. Obviously, I don't think we should do this ourselves. That would be effort, and we don't really do that around here. But here's my proposal.
Okay.
SPS at Purdue has their lounge open during the day where different people come in and buy food, and there's just like a random sampling of people who happen to be in the physics building.
Right.
So people from all sorts of backgrounds and very, very diverse group, those physics building occupants.
Of course.
So what I propose is that Cephalopod Master, you use your influence over the club to request that they, for a day or a week or something, ask everyone who comes into the lounge whether an Oreo is a sandwich, and then keep a tally for us and report back.
Right. Obviously you would want to ask the members of SPS too.
Yes.
But I think it's important that, the members of SPS tend to be very talkative and argumentative and opinionated, that you don't... So if someone comes in and you say, is an Oreo a sandwich, and they say yes or no, that you don't just start yelling at them saying, of course it is, or of course it's not, which I can totally see happening.
Right.
Which might skew the results.
Right. So please,
we want to have very high data integrity for this for this rigorous study that we're proposing. So
right. I would love to be able to publish these results. So I do want some ethical data collection and unbiased reporting from the members of SPS. But yeah, I hope. In fact, Cephalopod Master, if you would like to have us directly request it of the club, I suppose we're kind of doing that right now, so just ask them to listen to this section of the podcast.
Yeah, or if you want, we can prepare a special video message for them.
Right, yeah, no, I would totally do that. We could do that. And we could, appear on the video and make it like a video instead of just a
Right.
picture of us.
That's what I meant by video message.
Oh, I guess that does make sense. Yeah, so just let us know what you think in your next email with 16 bullet points in it, and we'll go from there. All right, so number 6.6. He agrees with me about the nothing sandwich. A nothing sandwich is not a sandwich.
A
Because
blank
if we-
sandwich.
A blank sandwich. Sorry.
I feel like he may be somewhat biased here.
Why is that?
I don't know, it just seems like he's agreeing with you on a lot of things.
Just think he likes me better or something?
I don't know. Cephalopod. You know what? Actually, don't tell us. I'll just feel bad. But
All right.
I have to agree with your assessment. I mostly just said it because I wanted to mention the blank sandwich.
I see. All right. Well, it turns out then that he's agreeing with both of us and therefore doesn't have a favorite.
Therefore, likes me more than you. All right.
Right. Okay, and number 7, we have some game show ideas, which is pretty nice. We wanted to get back and do some more game shows. So the first idea is the 5-second rule. Obviously, before we started recording, we watched this video. So
Right.
we now know what the 5-second rule is. I think this is a pretty good game.
Yeah, it is, I think.
So
It's pretty fast, so I don't know how much of an episode we can fill with it, but it would be fun.
we can make like one 10-minute episode one time, which is just us doing this.
Are you kidding me? The 10 minutes is just the intro.
No,
We could make-
it's a 10-minute episode of a 10-minute intro, and then 10 seconds of us each doing the 5-second.
Right, we just do it one time.
3 things we say at the end of our episode. I'm Alex, and this has been Joel.
It's like, oh, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, it's like you remember how we have that video where it's like skip to 22 whatever if you don't care about the XFL?
Right,
It'll be like a 10-minute 30-second video, and it'll be like skip to 10:15 if you only want to hear the 5-second rule.
All right. I think we could do this one the same way we've done like the Would You Rathers in the past, where we each come up with some to present each other.
Right.
Maybe we could do that next week. I don't know. Are you bouncing your laptop or something?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just bouncing my leg.
It doesn't actually matter. I was just kind of confused why you were bouncing and my phone didn't seem to be moving on the thing. So I was, yeah. There you I'm sure that is going to be
Hilarious to our audio-only audience.
I was going to say pretty audible because it sounded like a bunch of stuff moving around. So
Oh, that's good.
yeah, you were in on it, audience. You're welcome.
Yeah, you know exactly what happened, right?
Absolutely. So the second idea that was presented to us was Number Wang. Some of you may know what Number Wang is. If you don't know what Number Wang is, you should go watch Number Wang. And then watch German Number Wang. And then if there are other Number Wangs, watch those as well. I don't know about them, so send them to us too so that we can watch them.
Let me just comment on having watched the Number Wang video. It feels like all of British TV is just one show. Actually, sorry. It feels like all of British comedy is one show.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. There's like British documentaries and British comedy.
Well, there's also like drama, like Sherlock, Doctor Who. There's plenty of those
Oh,
shows.
sure. Okay, yeah.
But all of British comedy is just one. It's like Monty Python has been existing for a long time, and it's the only one.
Except now it's like a bunch of people, but the same 4 or 5 all the time, at least in all the British comedy that I've watched.
Right.
Which is good. They're pretty good at comedy.
Right.
Unfortunately, I think that we would struggle a bit with Number Wang. It's pretty difficult.
Right. So we've discussed some ideas. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, stay tuned. Maybe in the future we'll see some Number Wang themed content, but as of now, we're going to put that one in the not quite sure yet bucket. But that's the end of the email. So again, thank you to Cephalopod Master for sending us such a lengthy amount of content for us to just say for 30 minutes now.
Yep. We do appreciate it, and we really feel like this is basically just us conversing with you at this point, which is kind of weird, but it's a lot of fun, so...
Yeah. So...
Thanks for conversing with us.
Right, yeah, it's good.
All right, so...
okay, yeah, I suppose we can move on.
Well, yeah, so let me say what I was... Now that we're 40... Well, I guess we're not really 40 minutes in, but...
Not yet.
Right, but so I was listening to episode 30 today.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we can add to the list of things that we said we were going to do but never did, was that we said we were going to put Alex just nutted on my phone clip into the commercial, which we did not do, I don't think. So,
we did not.
So, yeah, I just thought I'd point that out. So, if anyone's keeping track, send us an email and let us know.
Let us know
also,
that we didn't do that?
Oh, just let us know how bad we are at doing stuff that we said.
Oh.
I just really want people to email us. Is really what it is.
That's fair. No, you're totally,
right.
Yeah, you're right.
Also, I was looking at our channel. And at the number of views that each video has, and for some reason, episodes 33 and 32 have more than twice as many views as most of our other videos, including episode 31, which should be one of the better ones.
Maybe we were too overproduced. Maybe it was less authentic.
Yeah, if you listen to 31, you're like meh, or you didn't like it, send us an email. We'd love to hear, because I think probably right now we're just planning on doing that again next year. But if anyone tells us that it's bad, maybe we won't. By the way, I cannot get over this photoshopped picture of us as carrots in a bowling alley. And I don't think we've ever discussed the origins of that photo on this podcast, and I hope we never do. And it's just a complete enigma to everyone else.
Yep, I agree. It's fantastic that we have, as of this recording, 39 videos posted, and all of them are exactly the same except for that one, for some reason.
Thumbnail, right? For
that thumbnail.
Yeah, I watched the commercial again today. It's pretty good.
It really is.
All right, so maybe now we can get.
Yeah.
Let's get to the main part of the video today, the podcast today.
Please email us if you think we're excellent at transitions.
Yeah. So, all right. So today we're gonna do an Ask Reddit episode. I think we found enough interesting stuff on here to talk about. So yeah, let's get started here. So I am just stalling while I scroll through here to find one of the first ones that I thought was interesting. Maybe we'll start here with a less funny one, more of an advice one. Here we go. What should teenagers these days really start paying attention to as they're about to turn 18?
That's a pretty good question, and I think it really caters to our audience.
Of people all over 18?
Of people, as far as we know, all over 18, but maybe not.
Oh yeah, maybe we have other people listening to this podcast.
Right. I would normally at this point say, if you're under 18, please email us, but that's a bit
Oh,
iffy.
I think it's fine if you're under 18. Send us an email. Obviously, we're not asking for anything inappropriate. I
Get
feel
your
like you may
parents'
be implying
approval.
that by by saying that you don't want to say that. So, email us even if you're under 18. We're not. Yeah, we just want to hear from you.
Not any more
Uh,
than we would want to hear from you if you're over 18, of course. Like,
right. Obviously. If there are any lawyers listening to this or cops,
I'm so
uh,
uncomfortable.
send us an email. All right.
Right, yep. Um,
So anyway, to actually answering the question.
right, yeah. I think the biggest thing that I can think of is, uh, can you ask the question again?
What should teenagers these days really start paying attention to as they're about to turn 18?
Okay, thank you. That was for me to be able to phrase this answer correctly for the record. I did
Sure.
remember the question still.
Uh-huh.
They should think about, or maybe rather be aware of, a whole wide world of viewpoints that are out there.
Oh, that's a very good
Um,
one.
I think I've especially noticed this on Reddit, particularly with the presidential primary going on right now, that there are a lot of people on Reddit that have very similar mindsets and tend to congregate and reinforce each other's opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think turning 18, not really turning 18 for any particular reason, more so going to college, is an excellent time for you to think about the things you believe and why you believe them, and get to know the things others believe and why they might feel that way. And hopefully, you'll become a better, more rounded person because of it.
Yeah.
And I feel the need to make a joke now, but I don't know. That was a pretty
Yeah,
sincere thought.
I'll add on to that as you're examining yours and others' views, it's good to remember that everyone is a person
Yes.
and no one is just like everyone thinks that they're right. So and everyone who's listening to this is probably like, "Well, I am right though."
You know how
But
right you are? That's how right I also am.
right. So
So,
just remember that, even if you disagree with someone, that doesn't mean you have to hate them.
yes.
Um,
And just because you disagree with them in some ways doesn't mean you can't agree with them in other ways. Like, a lot of the people I interact with and have interacted with have different viewpoints about a lot of things, and it would be impossible to get along with any of them 100%. So if that's what you're looking for, you're never going to find it.
right.
So
Yeah.
you should settle. That's my advice.
All right. Yeah, we got way too serious there. So
Yeah,
let's move
let's.
on. Let's move on to this excellent question. Putting yourself in the position of a bank teller.
Yep.
Bank tellers of Reddit, what is your plan if someone sends bees through the tube?
Hmm. So my understanding of the tube is that there's okay. On either end of the tube, there's a door
Right?
that you can open or close.
Right. That is how doors work.
And in order for the things to move through the tube, the doors have to be closed because the tube operates on suction.
Right.
And you can't, or maybe just pressure in general. I don't know that it's strictly suction, but I suppose to some degree it is suction when you think about it. Anyway, all pressure is just suction in some frame of reference. The point being that when the bees go into the tube, they're going to be closed off on both ends. My
Right.
plan is just don't open the tube from your end. You can
Right.
go outside and open the tube from the outside end and then run back inside.
That is a good plan.
Yeah.
However, I don't know that you would necessarily be able to get all of the bees out of the tube. Like, sure, when you open it from the outside, a lot of them would fly out.
Yeah.
But would all of them fly out?
That's a good point.
And
Given enough time, they would either all fly out or die. So
right, but the thing is are your tubes just going to be unusable for a while? Is that your plan? Is just to surrender to the bee terrorists and let them win by having their? My plan
That's true.
is to.
No, this is America. We can't let the bee terrorists win.
I think you could put a container of some kind in your end of the tube.
Okay.
And then use the suction to suck all of the bees into your container.
Oh.
And then close it, quickly close it up.
That is quite an idea.
And then, assuming you do this promptly enough, you can send it back to the bee terrorists.
Once you get all the bees, you just put them back in the tube and.
Well, obviously they
But you
wouldn't
just
open it. I'm saying
Took
you throw it into their car like a grenade.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a way better idea than attempting to use the tube to send all the bees back. Because if there's one thing more improbable than somebody putting bees in the thing, it's somebody putting bees in the thing, sitting there until something comes back, and then going, "Oh, this isn't bees. I should open my door."
There's no way there are still bees in here. That would be absurd.
It is literally impossible for any of the bees that I just put into this tube to come back out of the tube at me. Actually,
See, if I were a bee
had a
terrorist,
thought. Let's hear it. Okay, you
if I were a
first.
bee terrorist, I would train my bees to not to come back and attack me. They would be friendly to me. So even if somebody
That's a
sent
good
the bees
idea.
back, I wouldn't really care.
Right, you could just find another bank with more gullible bank
Right.
tellers that
And
have
if you
considered this
and-
before.
Right, and if you really are a bee terrorist and you want to put bees in a bank, there's no need to send it through the tube. Just walk into the bank and release the bees and then leave. That's a lot better.
That's a good point.
All right, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I did want to bring up just one thing that I think both of us neglected to consider, which is that if somebody puts bees in the tube, they're probably not going to say, "Hey, I just put bees in the tube." You should prepare yourself to remove the bees from the tube.
Right.
I think maybe the spirit of this question is, you've just opened the door and, oh no, it's bees.
Right. So okay. So let me respond to your criticism and then answer the follow up.
All right.
So my response is that you can see the person out there. Like it's a window between you and them.
You're right.
So you might be able to see them putting bees in. If I were a bank teller, I'd be on high alert for bee terrorists.
Especially after this question. This
Especially,
question is sure to inspire copycat bee terrorists.
right? I don't know. Yeah, I feel like whoever asked this question is a bee terrorist, and they're trying to think of possible counteractions to their plan.
Exactly.
So, anyway, but you're right. The spirit of the question is probably more like, what if you open the tube and there are bees? Well, I think I would just initially run away from the tube. But I think the thing about bees is that if you just release them into the bank, for the most part, they won't do anything. Like, bees don't attack you randomly.
Right.
So,
It might be more concerning if they were wasps or something like that.
yeah, see, bee terrorists are really lagging behind wasp terrorists in this regard.
So obviously next week we're going to see a post on Ask Reddit upvoted to the front page that is, "Bank tellers of Reddit, what are you going to do when somebody puts wasps in your bank?"
What are you gonna do when somebody walks into the front door and releases wasps like a competent wasp terrorist?
Right. The technology is advanced enough for them to do this. So, what are your contingency plans for when it happens?
So the first comment in the actual Ask Reddit thread is, Home Depot used to have a tube system. One day the garden center caught a yellow jacket in the tube. Everybody was freaking out and sending the tube back and forth until a brave soul head cashier managed to cram a bag with a roll of dimes into the tube while the yellow jacket was stunned on the bottom. It was just enough to remove the threat and save the day. So, bludgeon them with money, I think, is the answer. The answer that we can get out of there.
Pretty appropriate response for a bank.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
All right. Yeah,
that's
I'm
a
just
pretty-
looking at the
that's a
other
pretty
silence while I look at the other answers, but there's not any good ones. So
right. I'm gonna continue scrolling then. That's a pretty good response to that question, I think.
I agree.
As professional bank tellers, we were especially qualified, and I think we did an excellent job.
Right. All right. So here's the next one. At a party, you meet drunken Elon Musk, who hands you his phone with Twitter open, says "Do your worst," and goes to the bathroom. What do you tweet?
That's interesting. I think you could cause a small amount of so it's interesting because I don't think there's a large group of people that follows Elon Musk and takes all the things he says seriously.
I feel like you're about to say there's not much you could do, but let me tell you, I have thought of something very big you could do.
All right, let me tell you what I think would cause the most damage. I think if he tweeted something to the effect of "Sell your Tesla stock, the company's going down," that would be just about the worst you could do.
All
Because
right,
the
well, I'm
people
about
who-
to one-up you big time here.
All right, let's hear it.
Discovered aliens on Mars. As the owner of SpaceX, or
Yeah.
it doesn't even have to be Mars, it can be, because I feel like Mars may be a little bit less believable, but
Right.
you could tweet out some kind of indication that you've made contact or discovered extraterrestrial life,
Right.
which I think is, obviously would be credible since you own SpaceX.
Uh-huh.
And also people would share it, like you would reach people just more beyond his followers.
Yeah, that would get shared pretty broadly. That's a good point.
So I'm wondering if you can do better. I mean, the thing is, you have his Twitter. You can't really do both, because if you do, then people are less likely to believe you.
Right. The more nonsense you put out there in like quick succession, I feel like the less believable it is. But I feel like there are some other public figures who tweet frequently that maybe disprove that. I don't know.
I think I'm thinking of, he could also tweet something like, one random commenter of this tweet will get all of my shares of Tesla for free, which would not only result in a big thing, but also result in your thing of Tesla stock getting sold off like crazy and tanked.
Right. Yeah, I think if you could simultaneously make a mess on Twitter and make a mess in real life, that's just about the best you could do.
We have stopped development of cat girls. Don't at me.
That's pretty much the only good comment from this. I'm not a fan of many of these other answers. That one is good though. I like it.
Yeah, these are all not great. All right, let's keep scrolling.
SpaceX is claiming responsibility for the coronavirus. And I like the follow-up comment to that, which paraphrased is basically, SpaceX is absolutely in no way responsible for the coronavirus. We promise. Definitely not.
Nice. Okay, I just want to bring up this question because I want to say one thing about it. I don't know that it'll bring up much discussion.
All
The
right.
question is, men of Reddit, what's the hardest thing to explain to women? And I bring it up because one of the answers in the thread that I read when it came out, that I totally related to, was something like, men are not always talking about each other's lives. So like,
Yeah.
my mom will be like, "Oh, how's Nathan doing?" And I'll be like, "Fine." And she's like, "What's new with him?" I'm like, "I don't know." She's like, "Didn't you like talk for like an hour?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's like I wasn't just like asking him about his life." And
Yeah.
I don't know if this is necessarily a men thing, but
Right.
I notice it mostly with my mom. So
Yeah, I can relate to that as well. That's a great answer, I think. Um, just the comment of, weren't you guys talking for like hours the other day? How do you not know anything about what's going on? It's like, well,
exactly.
we talked about Elon Musk's Twitter and an email we received about our podcast, and then
Then we said an Olive Garden quote and hung up.
right, yeah.
So, all right. You have any other thoughts about what's hard to explain to women?
No, not really. I have a hard time thinking of things for those questions because I think they attract very broad generalizations, and
I feel
I
like
don't.
they imply larger differences between men and women than there actually are.
Right. Yep. So if you're a man or a woman, please email us with your
Or neither. We
or
don't
yeah,
judge.
sure. If you are listening to this, um, please email us. All right, I want to ask the question that, for me at least, is immediately after that one, which is, what's something that gets an unnecessary amount of hate?
So many things.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is biased by. Okay, never mind. I probably don't want to get political. I'm gonna avoid that.
One of these
What's it-
episodes we should just have. Okay, so November, whatever it is, immediately after the election, we could have a politics themed episode and then never publish it ever, just to get it all out, and then we'll go back to our normal nonsense.
I mean, we could just have a discussion about politics that's not recorded, because
True. Yeah, we do that anyway.
It's very. I think most people can have a reasonable discussion about politics without, hating the other person or devolving into yelling or whatever.
Right. That being said, if we inexplicably stop podcasting mid-November, maybe
why.
that's why. Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Luckily, that'll be right after our trip. So
yeah, or
that.
before, depending upon when our trip is.
True, it could be a real awkward trip if we do this wrong.
Yeah, you heard it here first. If we broke up, Nathan, it's because Nathan is a communist.
I mean, that's only a bad thing if you're not a communist. So,
well, I'm not. So,
all right. Before we,
dangerous.
All right, I had two totally random thoughts that just came to mind.
All right, go ahead.
So number one, I for the past probably a couple months now. Anytime somebody says like better than me or smaller than me or something like that, I instinctively correct them in my head. And this
My
includes
legacy
myself,
lives on.
of course. So you have broken me. I am a wreck of pedantically good grammar. And
You're
for
welcome.
that, I'm very frustrated. It's
You know, here's something
It's
that
no
gets an
good.
unnecessary amount of hate. Fortnite.
yeah, you're right. There's nothing wrong with Fortnite. I don't really play it or
I've-
anything, but
I've never played Fortnite, and even if you think it's a bad game, there's no reason for it to get all the hate it does. And I know there's a lot of, also, obviously, I'm just basing it on what I read on Reddit. There's a lot of people saying the same thing I have. Fortnite doesn't deserve all the hate it gets, but
yeah.
you know, that's also because it gets a lot of hate.
Yeah, there's lots of games and like movies and anything that has a fandom
Yeah,
has
you know what?
the side of people that just hate it, and that's almost always just completely unnecessary.
Yes. On a related note, pineapple on pizza.
Oh, absolutely. That's my hill to die on. If you don't like pineapple on pizza, and you've never had pineapple on pizza, then you can shut up forever until you've had pineapple on pizza and didn't like it, in which case, fine, you don't like it. I don't care. But if you're hating pineapple on pizza just because it's cool and quirky to hate pineapple on pizza, you're a bad person.
I appreciate your sentiment here, but I have known you to say many similar things about a certain friend's food choices that you just objectively disagree with without
She's
ever
just
having
wrong.
tried.
She's wrong, and I have to. It's stupid. Like she doesn't like barbecue sauce. Who does like barbecue sauce? And
Oh.
Reese's. Everybody
better be-
likes Reese's.
You gotta be careful, one of our listeners doesn't like barbecue sauce.
Is it who I think it is?
I don't know who you think it is, we only have 2 listeners.
Well, it's one of
It's
them,
Ben.
right? Okay. Ben, if you're listening to this right now, which I hope you are, because if you stopped listening and we're down to 1 listener,
Rip.
just despite having 17 subscribers, which is nearly our prediction for the year of
Seriously,
20 subscribers.
Who is subscribed to this channel that
I have
doesn't-
no idea.
did, like, they must not listen to it, right?
No,
Alright,
they
anyway,
don't.
go on.
They just subscribe and then whatever. Anyway, I just wanted to speak directly to Ben for a second here because I know we do a lot of talking directly to David. So Ben, I mean, I'm cool with it if you don't like barbecue sauce. That's fine. I guess all I really want to know is that you're not upset that other people do like barbecue sauce. If that's the case, then we're good. Don't barbecue sauce may or may not get an unnecessary amount of hate from Ben, and I hope it doesn't because that would be a shame.
I don't think he hates it. Like, wow, how does anyone ever eat
Good.
this?
All right, I am satisfied.
But I could be wrong. So Ben, please email us and let us know.
It's been a while, Ben. What's going on?
Ben, a while. All right.
That is a very bad joke. I'm unhappy with it.
When you said very bad joke, I assume you meant very good joke. Also, there's now a cord directly in the camera of your phone right in front of your... Yeah, there you go.
I do not endorse that joke, but whatever.
What gets an unnecessary... Okay, that leads me into this. Puns get an unnecessary amount of hate.
Yeah.
The fact that puns are measured by how quote-unquote bad they are is so dumb. It's so dumb. If it's funny, it's a good pun. Let me tell you something. I'm sure both of our listeners have heard me say this before.
Yeah.
But a bad pun is something that's not funny. If it makes you groan and it's funny, it's a good pun. That's good. It's not like, oh, that's so bad of a pun. Like, people, it doesn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I do agree with you. There are good puns and there are bad puns. Something is not bad because it's a pun. And there you go.
All right. You got anything else that gets an unnecessary amount of hate?
No, not really. I mean, I think we covered it in pretty broad strokes. And I don't have any like real specific examples or anything like that, but
All right. Maybe for a brief second, we'll hit this question. What technology are you shocked has not advanced yet?
That is a good question. Because there's a lot of technology that's been the same for a while. And it just kind of seems... Okay, alright, I have the perfect answer to this. And
All right.
nobody's going to care about this because this is the dumbest thing in the world. But,
Okay.
as you may know, for multiple summers, and also part of the not summers, I interned at a company that specialized in like custom making large machines to automate processes for other companies.
Right.
The controls electronics they use in those machines looks like it came straight out of the 90s, and I don't see any reason for it to cost as much money as it does when a Raspberry Pi could do the same thing for like $30.
Right.
And I mean, granted, I know there's some nuance here. A Raspberry Pi cannot do exactly the same thing, but
It
it's
has
like
the processing
95.
capabilities.
Yeah, it's like most of the way there for $30 instead of $10,000.
Right.
So, Allen Bradley electronics and controls hardware, very dumb, should have advanced in the last 20 years far more than it has.
Yeah, let me make a point based off that, which is that kind of the whole companies are slow to adopt new
Yeah.
technologies.
Yeah.
The company that, so in 2008, Python 3 came out.
Yes.
And on January 1st of this year, Python 2 reached the end of its life, meaning that the Python developers supported Python 2 and 3 for 12 years.
Right.
At my work, we are just now converting to Python 3 now that it's reached the end of its life, and we're still using Python 2, even though over the last 12 years that we could have done it at any time.
Yeah. It's really
That's not really an
interesting.
answer to the question, it's just...
No, I agree with you. And it's interesting to me that it's understandable to stick with things because they work,
Right.
but
I
to
mean,
just
the thing
sit
about
around for 12 years while Python 2 was eventually going to be discontinued.
for Python, I mostly get it. Like, there's really no incentive to switch from Python 2 to Python 3.
On the other hand, there's like not really a difference, so you might as well just use Python 3.
Well, it requires effort, because there are certain things that break between Python 2 and 3.
Right.
So if you have a big code base of Python 2 code, it's a trivial amount of effort to switch it over for a trivial amount of actual gain. So I definitely get it. It's just it just feels kind of dumb.
It does feel dumb. You know, that sentiment felt a little bit too realistic for this podcast. I was
What?
thinking, that's a pretty reasonable take, even though it disagrees with what I said a couple seconds ago. And
We can have reasonable takes on this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, we better come up with something insane to say now, right? Like,
Let me tell you. Here's the technology that should have advanced more in the last 13 years, which is smartphones.
yeah,
Yeah, I feel like if you took a smartphone from today and gave it to someone from 2008 who just had the iPhone 1, they would be like, they wouldn't really be blown away by anything. Like, I think there's maybe two things. There's facial recognition.
Yeah.
And the assistants, like Google Assistant and Siri.
Right. Yeah, those are pretty advanced. But
those are pretty cool. But, like, for how fast technology moves, for the actual phone to really just improve in terms of memory and processing, which, you know, all computers have improved over the last 12 years, and camera, it really seems like those are like the three main things that phones have improved in, which are just like, by nature of being a computer, it's going to improve over time.
Right.
So,
and the other thing I think you would really surprise people with is that I just looked this up. The first generation iPhone started at $500, and current top tier smartphones cost twice as much money, and they're absolutely not twice as good. I feel like innovation should...
Right. Well, I feel like you can argue whether they're twice as good, but they're certainly, compared to like, my phone is in the, I have like a mid-range phone.
Yeah.
That's probably closer to the original price tag of the iPhone, and it's certainly not half as good as, like, a new phone.
Right, and your phone is almost certainly better than what the original iPhone was.
Right, my phone has, you know, a fingerprint scanner.
Yeah.
And probably, like, 8 times as much memory. So...
Yeah, when I read this quote, let me read it to you. The iPhone debuted at $499 for the 4GB and $599 for the 8GB model. And I thought, wow, I can't believe the original iPhone had 4GB of RAM.
That's a computer joke for anyone who doesn't understand computers.
Which is none of our listeners, as far as I know.
Neither. Well, you know, we have to keep saying things like this in case anyone ever does start listening who's not one of our 2 listeners.
True.
So.
Fair enough. Also, a side note, on eBay, there are a couple of first-generation iPhones for sale. I assume they're in decent condition. Do you want to take a guess at how much they're selling for?
That's probably some stupid amount. $1,500?
The more expensive one, just so that this is funnier, is $18,000.
Holy crap! Can you imagine paying $18,000 for an iPhone 1? Why would you do that?
For a terrible smartphone from 2007. Just because you're like, this is neat.
I mean, if you want to buy an iPhone 1, it's because for collectible purposes, obviously, but...
Right, and this is definitely... I just clicked on the link to confirm this, but I think this is like a sealed in the original packaging iPhone 1, so...
Right. What is like the more common price? You said that's like the upper end.
Right, that was the upper end. There's a cheaper, very expensive one, which I will check out real quick to see what condition it's in. The picture looks nice. It's used, and they're asking for $11,000 or best offer.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. I mean, there must be a market for that, for them to be selling at these prices. So.
I'm not certain that's true. I think some people are just really strange about old things, but you totally could be right. I obviously am not doubting the fact that there's people out there willing to pay $15,000 for an iPhone.
Right.
The funniest thing to me, at least, about this is that there's 3 images. On the left is the $18,000 iPhone 1. On the right is the $11,000 iPhone 1. In the middle is an iPhone 6S for $25.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. It feels like we've been going for a while. Is there anything else we want to?
Well, let's see what time we're at. Actually, it's impossible to tell what time we're at.
Well, I've been
All right.
recording at least for about an hour and 16 minutes.
Yeah, but we're cutting a part out of the middle, so I'm not sure exactly.
No, we're probably about an hour now then.
All right, let me.
We just revealed the fact that we're cutting that bit out of the middle. So
I'll just cut that part out too.
I'll cut that part out as well, which means we have all this extra time to say more things now.
Yeah. All right. So I think this might be an interesting question. So let's end on this one.
All right, here we go.
If you had $100 million budget for a movie and you had to spend all of it, how would you make it as bad as possible?
I would do $100 million worth of the worst animation I could find, and presumably that's a lot of hours of animation.
Yeah, I just thought of that. That's a good
So
point.
it would just go on and on forever. Also, I would voice all of the characters myself in exactly this voice.
I would
I wouldn't change my voice at all. I would just record myself like a dozen times for each character speaking just like this, and
Right.
that would be the audio in the movie.
I would hire our podcast to make the movie. each of us getting a salary of $50 million.
I would take that instantly. So any Hollywood producers that are listening to this podcast, please email us with your $50 million offer each. And we'll make whatever movie we want, because
right.
that's how this question works. So
Right. I'm thinking just of other ways to answer this question. You could hire a lot of big name actors like Cats.
yeah,
Could be a good way to blow through it. Of course, a lot of CGI in that movie too. I wonder what the budget of Cats was.
I would guess it's something like $100 million, because that seems like the kind of thing that would inspire a question like this. If I know Reddit, budget
Right.
of Cats. I also want to see Cats. It was okay. The budget was $95 million, so yeah,
So
pretty
pretty
much.
close.
I definitely want to see Cats, because how bad can it really be? You know,
I mean,
have
could
you
be
seen?
pretty bad.
Have you seen Cats?
I have not seen it.
I propose. I don't know if it's released yet, but I propose when it is, we should watch it and do an episode of the podcast on it.
All right, if you insist. I think.
Look at this
think you
cast. This is amazing.
I know, right? I almost saw it because of the cast, but then once the reviews came out, I was like, yeah, maybe not.
How is this movie bad? All right, I'm kind of excited to see it, which is probably
All right.
what they want, but whatever.
So I'm thinking you could blow through a lot of money just by traveling to a lot of different locations.
Oh, that's a really good idea. You
And
could
I
make
think
like a 10-minute video on the International Space Station.
I think I don't even know if you could buy that for $100 million.
I actually am not sure. That seems like a large amount of money, but every large amount of money seems like a large amount of money to me, as
Right.
we've discussed previously on this podcast.
Right. So I think. Okay, just unrelated to that, I'm not really sure about this, but I feel like NASA's budget is measured in billions. So, although $100 million would definitely be useful to them, it's probably not enough to let you send up a movie crew to the ISS.
You are correct. NASA's budget for 2020 was $22.6 billion.
Yeah. So anyway,
I think what I would do, realistically, was get exactly what I wanted out of exactly who I wanted by just spending more and more money until they were willing to do it.
that wouldn't necessarily be bad.
If the goal was to make it bad, I'm sure it would end up being bad.
The goal is to make it as bad as possible.
So the question is, do we think I could make something as bad as possible by trying, or I could make something as bad as possible by accidentally being really bad when I was trying to do something else?
Well, okay, so the real answer to your question is that you would do a worst. It would be worse if you were trying to make it bad, but it
Yeah,
would be bad in a boring way.
right.
What you really want is bad in a funny way, like The Room.
I would I would pay Tommy Wiseau $100 million, and then whatever he made is the exact answer to this question.
That's actually not a bad idea.
I'm scrolling through to try and find this thread. I'm curious what the answers they came up with were.
Somebody has the same idea as you, as having one person play every role.
Yeah.
And they also had the same idea as you here. I would try to just make a good movie. Oh my goodness. The child comment of that is, if it's even tangentially about a dog practicing law, you've got an instant 97% Rotten Tomatoes score guaranteed. I can see it now. There's no rule about a dog not being your lawyer. I see trailer scenes of a judge informing a person they have the right to choose their own counsel, or a court-appointed defender will be selected. They say they've got their own in mind, their own dog. You see, they're hoping to drag out the case and eventually appeal that it was a mistrial, because legally they have the right to choose a dog, but then they'll argue the dog was incompetent. Enter Jackson Bones, the world's best dog lawyer. He likes reading through tomes of criminal law and chasing his tail. There'll be wacky scenes where, in the courtroom, his statements will be interrupted with running after a tennis ball and eating food that fell on the floor, but everyone will have their prejudices overturned as they realize this dog is incredibly hard-working, and man's best friend might just be man's best defender. Working title, The Golden Lawyer.
Incredible. That would be a decent children's movie, I think.
I think I want to make this movie.
Well, as it turns out, we are experienced in speaking movies into existence here on this podcast.
I want to make this movie, but it's not a dog CGI'd as the dog. It's just a person in a bad dog costume. So, yeah, maybe we'll tackle that movie. I'll save this comment.
Yeah,
we can come back to it.
It's nice that this podcast has at least spawned some ideas for a couple of future podcasts.
Yeah. I wonder. All right, we'll do it. We'll do a live look-in. I recently saved a Reddit post, maybe a month or two ago, and I don't remember what it was. So I'm gonna look and see if it's worth talking about on the podcast here. Although we're pretty much at the end here, right?
Right. If it's not worth it, we can just cut it. We're already editing a bunch of other stuff in this podcast.
My profile saved.
I don't actually have a Reddit account. Maybe I should make one.
Oh. All right, let me share this with you.
All right.
This is a political post, but it's not funny because of it's funny and it's the sound is really what makes it.
All right. Should I be hearing something right now?
Yeah, can you not hear it?
I cannot hear it.
I forgot to actually press share.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, let me go back to the beginning. our listeners have no idea what's going on, but
Yeah, we're
We'll
almost
probably-
certainly cutting this part out
Yeah,
because
you'll
it's
probably
just
cut
not
that, but-
a good podcast bit, but that's amazing.
that is hilarious.
People playing instruments badly on purpose is one of my favorite things.
All right. I
I think it's time to wrap up the podcast here.
Yeah, so we're gonna need an Olive Garden quote
Right.
here.
I have one if you are not prepared with one.
All right, go ahead.
Here we go. This appropriately comes from an Ask Reddit thread titled "What Quote Has Always Stuck With You?" And this is a JFK quote. He says, "Every accomplishment starts with the decision to try here in the middle of this Olive Garden."
Nice.
Here in the middle of this Olive Garden. Because, of course, his original quote included the Olive Garden bit.
Excellent.
So, there you have it. John F. Kennedy, everybody.
All right, the man himself. All right, thanks
Yep.
for listening, everybody. You can look forward to an Aliens episode and a number of other ones that we discussed today, as well as obviously our undisclosed location trip coming up in the fall, which I guess there's really no reason to keep mentioning it, but
Just to keep the suspense alive. Oh, I
Yeah.
was going
Oh.
to comment on that I got a message from the other David, who, as he was listening to that episode, said, "Glad to
wait.
hear your..."
there was another person listening to the podcast?
Yeah, the other David.
Oh, wow.
He said he said you finally remembered to listen to one of the episodes.
Nice.
And obviously you picked a good one because it was the sandwich list,
oh, that is
because
a good
that's
one.
the one where we talked about the trip. But he said this was as he was listening. He said, "Glad to hear you're coming back to Purdue in the fall." And at first I thought that was a joke because we have this whole like undisclosed location thing.
Right.
But then a few minutes later he was like, "Oh, I just listened to it more. You're not." He just hadn't heard that part yet. So
Is he just gonna stay at Purdue forever?
we can talk about it off the podcast.
Yeah, I forgot
or
we were
not.
still recording. All right.
Right. I'm gonna have to cut the crap out of this, man.
Yeah.
It's gonna be brutal.
We'll see if you can maintain the once a week with all this bull crap in the middle of it. All right.
The good news is we don't. This doesn't have to be up until next Wednesday. That's the cadence I've set. So
Right.
I'll be
All
able
right.
to do it.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We send us an email. Oh, let me throw one
you
more
say
thing.
thanks for listening, and I think you're gonna say I'm Alex, and then you go off to something else.
I gotta say this because we said we were gonna say this.
All right.
Cephalopod, if you're listening, send us an email. We would love to have you on an episode of this podcast.
Right.
So send us an email about if you're interested in that, what you want to do, how you want to do that. So we'd love to have you on. All right. For real this time, thanks for listening, everybody. I'm Alex.
I'm Alex.
And this has been Joel.